Nope, you need a microphone.
Anybody who knows me knows I always have to write everything down. I have to have my list. I have to be organized. So I brought my notebook. I have my Bible with me, and I hope you'll bear with me as I convey to you what God did in my life. When all this started, I was just always so busy. I was busy with the children, with all their activities. I was busy with Lloyd, with the Shriners, with his operations. We were all busy. I was busy with all my friends here at the church, with all of our church activities, our school activities, our cultural activities that we felt were so important for the children as they grew up. We wanted to do the right things. We wanted to do the important things that we felt would help them. I was busy with everything involved with the school board, and I know that probably was a lot of stress. But I know each of you here, all of us, we're so busy with something or someone that we feel that needs to be done, or someone that we need to be helping, that lots of times we put ourselves on hold. And I realize now, looking back, that's what I was doing. And long story short, I made myself power through everything for over a year. But I had the nagging thought, and I knew I needed to go to the doctor and have a checkup. I was hoping it was just to set a marker and to get myself on a better track. But in January 2008, I found myself being diagnosed with cancer. And I was diagnosed on Friday and scheduled for my operation the following Tuesday. I remember telling the children not to worry. Of course, we always do that everything was going to be okay. I think I was in shock, and I kept thinking that I wanted to live to see Michael and Elizabeth get married, and I wanted to see my grandchildren. I remember the operation and being so thankful to find out that it was 2 different cancers. It wasn't just one. So that was better because that meant it hadn't spread, you know. Dr. Aaron Freed and Dr. Kappa were absolutely wonderful. They told me that they'd done their best, but they didn't know if they'd gotten it all until my test results came back. So you wait. And you sit in a blue recliner. Right, Dennis? You sit in a blue recliner and you try to keep your mind occupied. And the members of this church, the people of this church, were wonderful to me during this very low point of my life and this intense treatment phase I was going through. Dennis came at 5:30 every morning to help set me for my day, to eat my orange and to uplift me and make sure I had my notepad and it was a tremendous help. I remember in the hospital, Diane came by. Her sister was going through the same thing. There are so many people who helped me. Martha, Cindy. I just can't say enough of everybody here in the church for the food, the cards, the moral support. Patty and Dixie came to the house one day with a prayer cloth, and they prayed with me. And I remember we all three got on our knees and prayed. And one of the Bible verses that was in our prayer was Matthew 21:22. And that says, "In all things, whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing, ye shall receive." And it was like a burden was lifted off me. I had been praying and hoping and asking, but that day, it was like I was just completely humbled. I was just completely out of control. And I knew the only control that there was in my life was God. Donna Razor came to see me several times. And I keep this in my Bible. Donna gave me this. And it says, she said she read it all the time. It's, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you." And that's Isaiah 43:2. And it's about going through the deep waters of trial. And it says if you have, you're not alone. Few of God's children escape the flooding waters of adversity. Those times when it seems that the rush of the torrent is too much for us, God always says, "Do not be afraid." To Zacharias, standing by the altar of incense, the angel of the Lord said, "Do not be afraid, for your prayer is heard." And to Israel, whose disobedience had displeased God, he said, "Fear not. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you." It says, when you're passing through the waters of deep sorrow and despair, and you get no help from others, just remember, Christ is there. Better the storm with Christ than smooth waters without him. And that is so true. I made it dog-eared, and I had to run off new copies of it. I started, when I went back to see Dr. Ehrenfried, and he told me there was no sign of cancer. It was like I had been holding my breath for weeks, and I could finally just exhale. I started chemo, and one of them that they gave me was called the Red Devil. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it. It makes your hair come out. And I had to go out in the yard and comb my hair. And Ted, that does my hair, he told me, he said, it'll start coming back. It takes 4 months. And he said, from your last chemo treatment, it'll come back. But it's so humbling to lose your hair. I think maybe especially for a woman, it's just hard. And I remember I felt very lonely, and I felt like I was such a victim, and I didn't have that much control over my hair, but I had my faith. I had my faith, and I knew that God had brought me through, and He was with me, and that He would bring my hair back. So just about this time, I can't remember how it came about, but I remember Beth called, and she said, "Hey, we've got tickets. We're all going to go see the Gaithers. They're going to be over in Johnson City. You want to go?" And I was like, "Oh, yes, I want to go, and I want to be with you all." And we got over there, and of course the singing was magnificent. And there was this beautiful lady that got up and sang. And after she sang, she gave her testimony and told about having cancer and losing her hair. And she went through the whole entire process, and her hair grew back, or was growing back, and in the middle of it, they found out that she had been given the wrong chemo, or that she was going to have to go through chemo again, and all her hair came out again, but it grew back, and there she was singing so beautifully, and that was the answer to my prayer on that. That was what showed me how little a problem that was, that in the overall scheme of things, I didn't need to worry about that. So I went and bought a hat, and I had a wig. What I'm trying to get at is that I believe, and I know with all my heart, that the reason I'm here today is because I asked God to save me through His Son, Jesus Christ. And it's like, "And all things whatsoever you ask in prayer, you shall receive it, if you only believe." Dr. Pierce told me he couldn't believe how well I did during my chemo and radiation. He was amazed. He's great, just like Dr. Aaron Freed, just like Dr. Kappa. My faith and the power of prayer healed me. It allowed me to calm down. It allowed me to know in the scheme of things that no matter what happened, God was with me. His power and love was with me, and that I needed to be an example for others. Deuteronomy 31:6 tells us, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you or forsake you." And I want to say that I hope I've helped someone today who is troubled and who needs inner peace. And don't ever feel lonely because of ailments or sickness. Just have a prayerful and honest relationship with God, and you won't be lonely. You'll never be lonely. You can talk with God, and He's always there to help you. And you can always rely on God and the power of prayer with Him. That's it.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.